Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to get into the topic of once again circulating around relationships, but how instant gratification has killed the aspect of relationships that lead us into accepting the uncomfortable. So I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that and kind of really dive into it because I actually think it's important um, in regards to something that's missing, and this kind of comes hand in hand with the aspect of social media, instant gratification, us knowing certain things right away and whatnot. So nowadays, with social media, dating apps, or just social media apps where you might happen to vibe with someone and you start going into that realm of dating, or even if you just meet somebody out and about on the street in a social environment, and you exchange numbers, you exchange contacts, however that might be, and you start hitting each other up back and forth. What has happened now in the current day, and especially in the current dating market, or even getting to know someone for that purpose, is because we're so used to instant gratification, instant information. A lot of people approach things with this kind of, well, first off, let's say this in the dating market, in the dating world now today, everyone has the idea of this is what I want, is what they put out there, instead of saying this is what I provide. So we are completely in a time frame where we're not presenting ourselves almost like you're applying for a job and you have a resume and you're saying, these are my qualifications, what I'm good at. We're presenting ourselves nowadays in a way where we come to the job and say, this is what I expect to get. This is what I expect for you to do for me. And you better hire me, which is completely backwards. But with that being said, because we live in an era now where we transfer instant information and request instant information, the exchange that most people have nowadays within that initial dating market, like when you're about to get to know somebody, is through text messages, various social media, you ask the things that you want and expect in a relationship, rather than the more traditional way of not having that instant communication, say before the days of cell phones, which seems archaic now. But you would have to go on a date, you'd have to get to know someone, you'd have to speak to them as you're getting to know them, and that causes certain uncomfortabilities when you're in person, which would cause you to say, okay, I'm not going to just say to this person, hey, do you do these various things in the bedroom? If not, I don't want to deal with you. Or the woman may be saying, hey, listen, like if you don't, if you're not going to be buying things for me every day, day in, day out, or whatever the case is, it it could end up being a kind of situation where they won't say those kind of things in person. If they were like in the old school dating scene, they wouldn't throw these things out there because it's uncomfortable to say that. But in today's age where we're able to just say these things over a text message when you're getting to know somebody, it comes off too um too raw and comes off too bad, and that creates a problem because, like I said, we kind of need that uncomfortableness when you're in person in the old traditional days to cause people to accept certain things that they wouldn't normally accept, that are in honesty, though we don't want to view it this way, are kind of healthy for a relationship. And I'll explain. And going back to the way I said about leading us to accepting the uncomfortable, because I don't want to get away from that. Say if you are a woman and there's certain things maybe you don't like necessarily doing in the bedroom. I'm going to use this because it's a classic example. There's certain things maybe you don't like doing in the bedroom, but you've been in relationships where over time you've been with a person, it might have been toxic, or maybe it wasn't toxic, but you eventually got to a place where because they maybe kind of pushed it on you, you started doing things that you didn't traditionally see yourself doing, but you did it. And now you said, this is just part of the relationship. I have to live with that part. And then the guy himself in that same relationship could have been like, you know what, like there's a couple things that I said to myself I wouldn't do. Maybe I said to myself, like, I wouldn't be, I don't know, taking care of someone on a certain level financially, maybe, or whatever the case is. I'm just using that example for I'm married to the person, and now maybe they're like living with the person and they're doing things they said they wouldn't have done. That just leads to that. These are the kind of uncomfortable things that are kind of healthy for a relationship because it's the give and take, because all relationships are a give and take. And so that uncomfortableness that we kind of lead into, that we eventually adapt to and go, okay, this becomes part of my norm. Things that I would say to myself up front, I would never do that. Now you're doing them, but it sustains the relationship because that other person's happy with those things that you're doing for them. And then um, you're happy for what they're doing for you that maybe they said they wouldn't have done before, but now they're doing. And we all know that that's very commonplace. That's the borderline between sometimes things being overly toxic versus them having a healthy balance of differences that we accept to make it work and make it function. Now, with instant gratification and us speaking that up front and say, hey, listen, like I'm gonna expect you to do X, Y, and Z, and the other person goes, "This is what I expect in a relationship." You say that up front. What happens is it creates this dynamic where when you're hearing that up front, the other person's going, I don't want to put up with that," and you yourself are going, "I don't want to put up with that from that person." What happens is you didn't have the time to slowly accept those uncomfortable things you originally said you wouldn't want to do that eventually would have grown into doing. Because the truth is, a lot of those things that when you had that immediate dialogue from instant gratification, what I mean, instant gratification, just to shorthand it, is I'm talking about when you get someone's number or you meet them on a dating app or something like that or social media and you start talking to them instantly without actually having to slowly get to know them. What happens is you will throw out there in this instant gratification moment your demands, and there's a lot of things they're willing to do that they're going to tell you they're not, and that you're willing to do that you're going to tell them you're not. And because of certain experiences you may have had in the past, you say, like, this is how I feel now, this is my stance. What happens is it doesn't even get anywhere and it gets shut down right away. When if you had the chance to accept those uncomfortable aspects of a relationship by slowly going into it, you would realize that that actually is healthy for the relationship, because there's never going to be a relationship where it's just your way and not the other person's way. I'm going to end up doing a follow-up video that touches on a similar topic to this, that branches off in terms of what is that dynamic needed to maintain a relationship, and how um, people have to go into it understanding that you're not going to get always what you want. But I just wanted to touch on that topic for people to understand it, because I thought it was a nice perspective on grasping. As I'll reiterate, instant gratification has killed the aspects of relationships that lead us into accepting the uncomfortable. Um, Something to think about. Let that kind of swirl around for a bit. As always, you guys, like, comment, subscribe, share. You guys take care and be safe. I'll catch you guys in the next video.